Welcome into Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. And it's a good thing we're covered because outside of these Bristol studios, it is snowing, it is freezing, raining. So we're going to be inside with you for the next half hour because we got a lot of women's hoops to talk about. I'm Taylor Tannebaum alongside Ari Chambers, Harry Lyles Jr. Great to have you guys here. They don't call it Sunday Fun Day for nothing, you guys.
It's a fun day.
Look, let's get up. Let's get the energy going because it is Sunday Fun Day. And all around women's college basketball today, around the country, 4 ranked showdowns on deck, highlighted by the one coming up on ABC in just a bit. Number 7 UConn traveling to number 4 South Carolina. You have number 10 NC State at number 12 North Carolina, LSU, Texas, Michigan at number 1 UCLA. When you see this slate, what goes through your head right now, Ari?
Taylor, you know where I'm going to go. ACC, I'm going to go NC State, UNC. People don't realize how serious this rivalry is. I know they always try to give it to UNC and Duke, but NC State is the top-ranked team. Between the two of them, they're going to match up very well.
Texas has an opportunity, 3 wins in a row as in top 10 matchups. Big day for the Longhorns.
And before that, they knocked off Vandy, so they're on a
roll.
right now.
They're
rolling. The
And
Longhorns are rolling. No, there's no horn. That's dang it.
She tried. And then you have UCLA trying to bounce back after suffering their first loss. But we got to get to Colonial Life Arena, where UConn is in the house to take on South Carolina. 15th all-time meeting. Look, UConn won the first 8 meetings between the two, but South Carolina has dominated as of late, winning the last 4. So we have to bring in our friend who's going to be there for a 2-hour college game day in the arena, Chiney Ogwumike, joining us now. Stanford Hall of Famer, Pac-12 and ACC legend.
Hilarious.
Now, welcome in with us.
I know. Look at her. She's like, what?
This is the world we live in now. Okay, you're in an incredible environment there. It will be, and you're starting to see the basketballs bouncing behind you. What's your anticipation for this matchup today?
You're absolutely right. I was caught a little bit off guard because I'm not used to the ACC yet, but it'll slowly and steadily get to my resume and I'll be more comfortable. Honestly, the anticipation is what you said. It is absolutely Sunday Fun Day. I mean, people are starting to trickle in to the arena, but honestly, when you think about the pinnacle of women's basketball in college, it's right here. From coaches to players to arenas to fans, we've got a showstopper today. And so I'm really excited to see these players show up, show out. Obviously, we've got some young players that are stars. We've got some seasoned players that are veterans that are stars. It's going to be a fun one today.
You know it's a fun game when you pop up in there. I know your frequent flyer miles gotta be crazy tonight. But South Carolina faces another big game after losing to Texas last week. Do they need to prove anything today?
Do they need to prove anything? And before I get to my answer, Ari, you're funny. You know I was an NBA All-Star, and there's no place I'd rather be. How about that? There's no place I'd rather be than in women's college hoops. If we're gonna talk about statements, right? I think there's an opportunity on both sides. South Carolina, the defending champs, obviously a few blemishes, but still, this is the deepest team in basketball. They get 42 points off of their benching. UConn, I feel like this is a different type of vibe we're getting from UConn. Anyone that knows Coach Dina RM, like, we know his standard, similar to Dawn, for excellence, but he's sort of been a little bit looser, and you can see their players responding well to that. This is a team that's top in assists to turnover, so I think when they lace it up today, they're going to be excited to create a narrative to say, guess what? We're still here, and that applies to both sides because they have goals in about a month and a half.
All right, Chiney, we're going to be locked into you in a little less than 30 minutes, top of the hour, college game day, 2 hours there from Colonial Life Arena. We appreciate you.
Always.
Andraya is going to join us in a little bit as well, but we got to get to another player, but who is currently on the court, and you've been watching her all season. Magic Moments, covered by State Farm. And we welcome in someone who's produced some on-court magic, and funny enough, people like to call her Mini Magic Johnson because of the way she plays. Notre Dame great, Olivia Miles. Welcome in, Liv, and I want to start with your team as a whole because I know you're a total team player. 17-game win streak going on right now. You have a 2 next to your name, second best team in the country. I know you like to think you guys are the best, as you should, but we're going to play word association. How would you describe where this Notre Dame team is at right now in one word, and why?
I would definitely say united. I think our chemistry has come together game by game. As you said, that 17-game win streak speaks for itself. We've really been able to come together, play as a team, get that chemistry going, and we're just flowing right now.
You had 8 threes the other night. I mean, when you have a performance like that, at some point or another, you know that you were going to be on fire. When was that moment for you?
Yeah, I think I'd mentioned it in the broadcast after the game. It was my first shot. The fans were kind of chirping at me. I think one of them said, like, your toes on the line. So I was already going at that point. They were in my ear, so I kind of had to shoot the ball and let them know what was up.
You know, Olivia, you've had a tough few seasons, a tough 2 seasons with your ACL tears, but what was the process like getting back to yourself, and what did you learn about yourself?
Yeah, it was a tough process. Obviously, that injury is not for the weak. It's a difficult thing to go through. So you just have to remain consistent. I learned that I'm a pretty resilient person. Can be determined when I need to be and push through hard times. I came out better on the other side.
You were just named to the Wooden Award midseason watch list. Congratulations on that, along with Hannah as well. Well-deserved, obviously. What is it about y'all's chemistry that just allows you to click, not just easily? I mean, you make it look simple, right? And I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but what makes it look so easy for you guys?
Yeah, I think we just kind of know how each other likes to play. We know where each other likes to get the ball. I think when you have 2 great dynamic guards playing together, it's always going to be some fun basketball. Obviously, Hannah's Hannah. She does incredible things, but, when we can bounce off of each other and find each other, it makes it even more dangerous. So, yeah.
I'm still focused on the fact that the Pitt fans were chirping at you. They made a mistake
Right.
early in that game. We knew it when we were watching because I saw you yapping back to the crowd. We were like, what could they possibly be saying to Liv? Hey. And apparently they were talking some smack, and they ended up on the wrong side of that. All right, you're currently listed number 2 in the WNBA mock draft, the latest one. But you love to talk about your teammates. We just noted Hannah. Sony Citron is listed as 3 in that mock draft and maybe doesn't get the love she necessarily deserves. What does it mean to see your teammate, you first of all, going 2 and 3 potentially, but to see her get that love?
Yeah, I mean, Sony, I just said in the post-game conference, like, Sony is incredible. She's amazing. She does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. And that's kind of why she gets underappreciated, but she does everything that this team needs her to do night in, night out. She doesn't say a word. Comes in, knocks down shots, guards her man, rebounds the ball, and does everything that we need her to do.
Okay, I love that. I mean, it's such a stacked team.
It's a total team.
So we're going to focus on you, Olivia. We have to show you some of your plays from the season. Love to get your reaction from them, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's get it. The first one is a crazy pass against Virginia. Let's get it.
Top of the key. Okay, it didn't finish the way maybe we had hoped. But the dime was a 10 out of 10.
Right, we can still appreciate that sizzle. I mean, come on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And you took a hit after that too.
Right.
Honestly, the tip tap. Oh. We love how she could just words.
I don't know what I was thinking, but
you were thinking highlight reel. Gotta be.
I was thinking, yeah.
Putting the magic in magic moments,
truly.
Honestly, yes. Okay, next up, we have a block against Virginia Tech.
She does it all.
You literally came out of nowhere. Read that pass like a book.
Ma'am.
Yep, that was my rotation too, so luckily I got that, or else that would have been in the film room.
I have to know, what did you say? Look, let's be messy. What did you say?
I can't say on this.
Then against another elite team in the ACC, a step back 3 is coming. Got to get that space.
Ooh.
The ankle
snaps
this season are sick, guys.
I know. Oh, and in the face, mama, she said, you can't guard me. I'm going to get mine regardless, right?
Enjoy that.
Yeah, I love it.
Not much more to say there. Okay. Since you love UNC, let's go ahead and go to what you say to the crowd right here. Let's see.
This is, if they're going to talk, she's going to talk back. That's the problem. This was at Pitt the other night.
This is what you were talking about earlier, Taylor.
This is just you talking smack. Were you always a smack talker, Liv? Like growing up, because you're pretty quiet. It feels like understated, but when you're on the court, it's different.
Most definitely. And I think that's why I laugh about Hannah too, because when they start talking trash to her, like it makes her play better. And I think we're pretty similar in that regard. So, yeah.
Not that Chippy backcourt literally goes back and forth to the just talking.
Yeah.
But we saw a tweet that you had a few weeks ago about your hair going up or down. I am a curly queen too, but we have to know, where do you stand? Are we hair up? Are we hair down?
Look at the stats, hair down.
Honestly?
I was going to say, I need a side-by-side of how I play with it up and how I play with it down.
There you see.
Girls are magic moments in themselves, okay?
A mere double-double against SMU.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, get yours. So what are we feeling? Hair up, hair down?
Really depends on the day, what my heart's telling me. So I just kind of let it rock.
Honestly, felt relatable. I get it.
You do have Duke up next in a massive showdown. They're ranked 13th in the country. And before we let you go, what do you anticipate in that matchup? Because that could potentially be one of the biggest ACC games of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be, a fun battle. This is why I love the ACC. You consistently come up against great teams night in, night out. You always got to be on your game. And, at the end of the day, it'll prepare us better for March. So we love these matches. We invite them. Obviously, that's at home, so it's another bonus for us. But it's going to be gritty. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be fast-paced, so I'm excited.
Yeah, Purcell's going to be sold out, no doubt about that. Liv, we appreciate you. You are Magic, so only appropriate we have you for Magic Moments.
Thank you so much.
Keep it rolling, girlfriend. All right, big thanks to Olivia Miles. We got to get to our weekly takeaways because what a week it was in women's college hoops. You saw what Olivia did against Pitt. It was outstanding. But we got to talk about the one and only, what do you refer to her as? JuJu Watkins. All right, another day, another dollar for JuJu because she continues to shine. USC upset at that point, undefeated, #1 UCLA. 38 points. 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and you can't leave out the 8 blocks. It was insane. What, Harry, for you was the most impressive thing she did on Thursday?
Gosh, like picking one thing feels just terrible, and you can't, which is why I'm not going to.
Okay. There's no rules on their show.
I think even just coming into this game, like she was coming off of a game where she had previously started 0 for 10 from the field, and I think she finished 5 for 21. So just to bounce back from that performance is one thing. We know her game sort of leaves her susceptible to performances like that. But then you get the ones like you saw against UCLA. I think the thing about her game that impressed me the most in that was how she closed it out. Like the scoring, we know that's going to be there. She does not get nearly enough credit for all of the other things that she does on the basketball court. And when we talk about this fourth quarter, she had more blocks, 5, and then UCLA had field goals. Like that is how you close out a team that was previously unbeaten, in my opinion, like pretty clearly the best team in the country with one of the most unstoppable players. And so that to me was just the most outstanding thing about that performance. Because again, we know she's going to score, but to see her take advantage and really shut Lauren Betts out of that game and say, hey, the rest of you guys are going to have to beat us, and they didn't do it, was fantastic.
And Lauren Betts was a focus for this team. I mean, they went in there knowing that this is a potential player of the year in Lauren Betts. But with JuJu, I know we're getting away from her offense, but she was quadruple team this game. Quadruple team. And what she has done in the past year is learn how to have the poise to pass out of that, to get out of the congestion, and not only just taking the body, but to make it effective and efficient. So
that's maturity.
That's
growth in the game for sure. And you guys mentioned Lauren Betts, and she finished with a double-double. She had 18 and 13, as she does, but shot a season low from the field. This team did 38.5% from the field. So obviously, the Southern Cal maybe found a recipe to knocking off a UCLA. Do you feel like there was a blueprint put on display for that to potentially happen in the future, Ari? Or is this a one-off?
It's not a one-off, but it is going to be something where the containment of Lauren Betts is integral in the success of beating UCLA. You have to contain Lauren Betts. But USC has figured out a way to do their help defense and just make sure that they're covered so that Lauren Betts isn't as Lauren Betts as normal.
You're basically picking your poison, right? Because USC, you saw them start to double her when it was like, oh no, she's about to beat us. And so then it becomes, okay, well, the rest of you guys have to beat us. And it didn't happen for them. Typically it does. They're still able to shoot their way out of these things, and it just wasn't their night.
I was just so impressed with JuJu because when you're the best player on the floor, or one of the best players for your team, at least, you're supposed to shine the brightest on the biggest stage. And that's exactly what she did and pulled off something no one else has been able to do all season. Coming into the game, though, Hannah Hidalgo, who we already mentioned when we were talking to Olivia Miles, and Lauren Betts were the favorites to win Player of the Year nationally. After Thursday night, though, JuJu's now the betting favorite, and that switched pretty much immediately after the clock hit 0 and SC pulled off the upset. So we're going to play a little state your case for who should win Player of the Year. And this is as of today. There's still a couple of weeks of basketball to be played before you get to conference tournaments. So, Ari, we're going to lean on you for your Judea argument.
For my Judea argument. No, you said it yourself, of the moment. I understand that we look at a comprehensive consistency with Player of the Year. However, JuJu always shows up in the moment. Having 38, 11, 5, 8, and 1, like that stat line is crazy.
It looks like a typo.
It looks like a typo. You cannot stack that sheet and not give her that nod. She's the first D1 player to get that in 20 seasons, men or women. She can play through contact, like we said, quadruple team, being able to get out of that. And over the years, she's become more disciplined on the offensive end and defensive end. She's pesky. She models her game after Asia Wilson and Candace Parker, and they are versatile bigs. But the difference maker is she's a guard. So not only does she have this versatility that she's trying to build on, but she's quicker with it. She's able to move a little bit better than the bigs that she has looked up to her entire life. So I'm looking at JuJu and the production that she has right now in a more mature way from last year. So what sophomore slump? Yeah, you might have a few off games, but your off games are better than what most people's best games.
Yes.
And that's Player of the Year material. Okay, look at the material.
It's there. We just need to let that sit for a minute.
There you go, marinate a little.
I'll slow blink in a heartbeat.
As it marinates.
Yeah.
Harry, you have Lauren Betts. What's your argument for why she should be Player of the Year?
Yeah, look, I don't want to let one loss sort of sway us from the fact that, holy crap, like, she is just different.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of the volume of stats, but also, like, we're talking about somebody in terms of even just physical stature. 6'7", she is one of, I think, 35 players in all of women's college basketball that is even just of that stature.
Right.
And look, with this UCLA team, the thing that stands out to me about this is it's one thing if you are one of the best college basketball players around, which she is. She is leading them to a historic season. UCLA has never been this good in women's basketball. And then when you just look at her stats, 19.5 points per game, 9.9 rebounds, 2.9, 62% field goal percentage. I think when you look at what she's doing, and to me, it's a dominance thing as well, right? Like, it's not even just about the stats. And the dominance piece of it, we saw that on display against USC. They had to throw everything at her and just throw their hands up and say, hey, like, we're going to hope the rest of you guys can beat us. Because that is, and even in those cases, she makes all of the players around her better. To me, there are only a handful of players that you can look at in the history of this sport, men's or women's, and look at and say, that is the type of player that does that, and she's one of them.
Right. She elevates everyone around her.
I just want to say that the Player of the Year that we were talking about beforehand, JuJu, she said Lauren Betts is an anomaly.
Yeah.
She's an anomaly. There's no one like her in
Nobody.
there. And
Don't make them like her.
Corey Close was like, they put on a defensive clinic against us for Lauren Betts, and that is how they were able to win. You have to stop Lauren Betts. Everything goes through Lauren Betts in UCLA.
And, you know, if she doesn't get it this year, she said she's coming back next year because she wants to play with her sister as well.
And she loves the program.
So look, you know, it'd be kind of tight if she could go back to back. It could happen.
When you're the best player on the best team in the country, you have a really good chance of winning an award like this. And she's dominant. She is one of one right now in the game. I'm going to lean on Hannah Hidalgo for this one because I have felt like she's been the favorite to win it until JuJu really moved into that slot after Thursday night's game. Hannah's second in the country in scoring, 25.2 points per game while shooting just shy of 50% from the field. But it's also what she does on the defensive end. She's locked in on that end too. She's second in the country in steals per game, first in terms of major conferences, 4.1 steals per game. So not only does she lock in offensively, but it's what she has to do for an entire game defensively as well. She's head of the snake really on both ends. And I know Notre Dame is a stacked and deep team. So she does have help around her. She has an Olivia Miles to set her up, and Sony and Leah King and Maddie Westbeld in the middle as well to take a little bit of pressure off. But she is the energy. She is the heart and soul of that team, and they really do go as Hannah goes. And this is a season where Notre Dame could potentially win a national championship. And if you're going to look back, if they do, it's going to be because of what Hannah Hidalgo has done. And you want to talk about moments. JuJu had her moment, right? When you're talking about the Heisman on the football side of things, what was the Heisman moment? JuJu had one the other night on Thursday. When voters are voting, they're going to be looking at that. For Hannah, against Southern Cal, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals. Against Texas when they won, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Against UConn, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. She shows up when the lights are the brightest consistently.
I just want to add just very quickly, when I think of Hannah Hidalgo, I think of menace in the best way possible. Yeah. Consistent menace. When you have a menacing presence on both ends of the floor, it will wear you down. So having that wear and tear with the assets around her, that's why Notre Dame is successful.
Yeah.
That's just why.
And you could tell, like, at the beginning of the season, she came out on a mission.
Yeah.
Like, because we already knew she was great, but it was like, oh, no. Like, she's doing something different this year, and she's clearly shown that.
The hoops have secrets in them, y'all.
Yeah. She rocks the hoops, and she's a hoop star. We have the big matchup that we are leading into, College Game Day down at South Carolina, because they welcome number 7 UConn into the building earlier today. It's not tonight yet, it's still the morning. We caught up with Andraya Carter, who's in the building getting ready for College Game Day.
Yeah. It's a sellout crowd.
What an atmosphere. The place is buzzing.
Showtime, baby.
Let's go. This is College Game Day. Let's go.
What a highlight.
The game is in good hands.
One of the most dynamic duos in college hoops.
Because it's always the combination.
That 1-2 punch.
South Carolina and UConn.
Want to talk about a Sunday fun day? You have got it right here.
We're now a little over 2 hours away from tip-off at Colonial Life Arena, and who better to talk about this matchup than Andraya Carter, who's going to be at the center of it all. Drea, all right, let's start with what you expect the environment to be like today between this top 10 matchup.
Well, thank you all for having me. It's always good to hang out. What I expect from this environment is the polar opposite of what it is right now. So it's empty, it's quiet. It is going to be the exact opposite of that when I'm talking full, packed, standing room only, and loud. I remember playing in Colonial Life Arena. It was so loud when I played here. It's even louder now. When we've done shows, this is pregame here in Colonial Life Arena, it's been hard to hear each other. Like, we turn our packs up all the way just to hear ourselves over the crowd noise, and that's before the game even starts. This crowd is so into it, and they're an intelligent basketball crowd. Like, you know, you go to some places, this crowd will cheer when they know the team needs a defensive stop. This crowd will cheer for an offensive rebound. Like, this crowd will cheer for the things that happen in the margins of the game of basketball because they know the game of basketball. I expect it to be crazy, packed, energetic, and so much fun.
Now, Dre, they have a lot to cheer about because they have the top 2 recruits and the freshmen in the country between Joyce Edwards and Sarah Strong. Granted, they have 2 very different functions. Who has the ability to be the difference maker?
Oh, my eyes on both of them, honestly. Anytime we get to see superstar freshmen go at it and go against each other in a matchup like this, it's so fun to watch, right? This is going to be a game that for both Sarah Strong and Joyce Edwards, we look back on and we're like, remember what they did in that game? Remember how they performed against UConn? Remember how she performed against South Carolina? There are staple games throughout the careers of superstars. This is one of them. So I'm so excited. I do think Sarah Strong can make a big difference. Honestly, both of them can. The fact that Joyce Edwards comes off the bench, think about it. So UConn starters, they might get a little worn down, they're a little tired, and then what happens? Bam! Joyce Edwards comes into the game. And they're like, oh my gosh, we have to think about now how we're going to guard Joyce Edwards. And then for Sarah Strong, her ability to put the ball on the floor, put South Carolina defenders in tricky positions because she's got great size, she can protect the ball, she's got incredible skill. So her ability to put the ball on the floor, to attack the rim, to hit threes and space the floor. She could also draw fouls. That's something that South Carolina struggled with against Texas, sending Texas to the free throw line. So I think Sarah Strong, I really have my eye on her. On the road, she is one of the big 3 for UConn, and there's a lot on her coming into this game.
Drea, the injury bug has not been kind to UConn over the last few years, which is not just bad for them, but also for us as fans. I think we could all agree. But they're finally healthy this year. They finished last season really strong. Why hasn't it clicked this year for them, and what can they do for their best to be just as good, if not better, than everybody else's best?
You know, they're finally healthy, yes, in terms of right now, but AZ Fudd has missed a majority. Like, the thing about UConn that they always do really well is they schedule a strong non-conference. AZ Fudd missed a lot of those challenging non-conference games in that non-conference time out with injury. Think about it. She didn't play against North Carolina. She only played 8 minutes against USC. She didn't play against Notre Dame. Those non-conference matchups for Connecticut are what help this UConn team because the Big East isn't as competitive. So her not being available and them not seeing what their healthy team looks like for a lot of those competitive non-conference games, that sets them back a little bit. Tennessee was a great game for Connecticut. This South Carolina game is going to be a great matchup for Connecticut to see what a healthy UConn team looks like. And it's really just putting those pieces together and them having continuity. I keep talking about the big three, Sarah Strong, Paige Beckers, and AZ Fudd. Those three being together in competitive environments, figuring out how to play off of each other, that is what's going to help them make a push for this game, but for the NCAA tournament, trying to make a run to another Final Four. They just need that continuity. Like, you look overall and you're like, well, they've been pretty healthy. But AZ Fudd not being available for some of those competitive non-conference games, I think set back their progress.
And last year, let's take it to South Carolina, they established their dominance by going from one of the worst three-point shooting teams to one of the best. Now they're back in the middle of the pack. What is this team's identity, and how can they improve that?
Yeah, I think South Carolina, you know, it's interesting. I think this team is still trying to find its identity, right? They do everything really well, but what are they going to specialize in? What are they going to dominate in? Like, right now, South Carolina's identity, I would say, is being the most balanced team with the most depth, right? That is what South Carolina is known for. Now, UCLA has a great argument on the other side of the country as well, on the West Coast, but that is what this South Carolina team is known for. We can't say enough about South Carolina having to figure out this season what playing like looks like without Camila Cardoso. That is such a big piece on the offensive end, on the defensive end. So it's taken some time to figure this out. But for South Carolina, defense, depth, and balance, I would say, is where their identity lies. Now, where they turn into a dominant team in other areas, specifically offensively, that is still yet to be found.
Andraya, quickly before we let you go, could you give us 2 X factors, one for each team in today's game?
X factors. I'm going to go Ashlyn Shade for UConn. She has had some big performances for this Connecticut Huskies team. I want to say she put up a 27-piece earlier in the season. She could be a player. You pay so much attention to AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong. Ashlyn Shade, even KK Arnold, some of those other pieces for UConn, if they can step up and make timely plays, that would be huge. X factor for South Carolina, I always think about Mylasia Full-Wiley and Tessa Johnson. When the offense is struggling or things seem stagnant in those first 5 minutes when the starters are playing, those two guards come off the bench. They have so much confidence. They have so much swag. Obviously, Joyce Edwards joins them. We already talked about her. But Mylasia Full-Wiley and Tessa Johnson, I always have my eye on those two. Yeah, South Carolina leads the country, 42 bench points. Drea, you can catch her on College Game Day, 2 hours coming up, top of the hour on ESPN with Elle Duncan and Shanae. Hey, look good, play good, feel good, all that kind of stuff. Drea, that's you right now. You look great.
Looking like money. Yes.
Hey, Tom.
We're ready. Thanks, y'all.
Always a good time with Drea. Okay, we're counting down until College Game Day and tip-off of this basketball game. What's your feel heading into this one, Harry?
Look, I think South Carolina is good today, right? If you are the team that is inferior in a matchup of this caliber, which I feel that most of us are UConn is, 2 things have to go your way. One, you have to have the best player on the floor. Paige Beckers can be that, so there's one. 2, you have to do 2 things on the floor, which is out-rebound the other team and protect the basketball. If they do not do those things, I don't see it for them. I don't think that the things that we haven't seen out of them are magically going to appear today. I just do not see that, especially against the South Carolina team that they've got some hunger now. Like, they lost a game that they felt like they shouldn't have lost. And I think that we might see them take it out on Gino and his squad.
They're on their home floor. Don't forget about that.
Like,
that is not easy to play in that venue. And coming with a team that is #1 in offensive efficiency, shooting 51% from the field on average, Dawn Staley and her Gamecocks are looking to slow that down. She said, our emphasis is to disrupt their flow and fluidity. So I want to know how they're going to disrupt the flow and fluidity. We know they're defensive specialists. So get out, stop them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, for UConn, though, and Gino Auriemma talked about it this week, this has to be a three-pronged attack. You mentioned taking care of the basketball, doing your thing on the boards, but also you have to hit some threes against a really good South Carolina team. And he talked about getting to the free throw line. Those points are free for a reason. Get them where you can get them. And for a team that plays in the Big East, this is a massive opportunity for the Huskies to add a resume-building win, because this could be the difference in terms of seeding, which you'll see the first top 16 coming out here shortly, between a 2-line and a 3-line for the Huskies.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Auriemma was saying that every game is a mirror. So just to see how they can adjust from the mirrored losses that they've had this season.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to like what they see in the mirror today. I'm feeling pretty good about South Carolina.
I'm feeling like Harry is
Harry said they're not going to like what they don't see in the mirror.
Yeah, no. And Dawn's going to have a little extra juice because her team won the Super Bowl.
Dawn, hey, on 100.
She said,
fly Eagles, fly.
Hey,
That's right.
Yeah,
this is one of the 4 ranked matchups around the country today, but College Game Day coming up, top of the hour on ESPN. For Harry Lyles Jr., Ari Chambers, I'm Taylor Tannebaum. Thanks for watching College Game Day, covered by State Farm. It's going to be a good one at a packed Colonial Life Arena. We'll see you later.